Hello everybody and welcome to a brand new Elder Scrolls Online PTS video with me, Sherman. Today guys, we're going to be looking at the new champion point system, how it works. And the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to break down every constellation by star. I'm going to go through all of them. So starting with the green tree, blue tree, and red tree, which have new names now. And as you can see, we only have 3 constellations instead of 9. So we have the craft, we have warfare, and we have fitness. Now I'm also going to explain this bar at the top here. This is called the champion bar, and I will get to that in a second. But before I do, I want to explain some other things. So one of the things that the devs talked about in the live stream was how we're going to have to make choices. Well, until you can maximize your CP, your choices will be limited. And this is where the idea of horizontal progression comes into play. You're going to have to make some very tough choices if you're low in CP, especially if you're below around 1,000 or less. You're really going to have to make some choices in how you want to spend your points to play your character. You'll have to play into very specific stuff until you have the max champion points, which was now 3,600, and that means you have 1,200 per tree to spend. And I've done the math already, and each tree comes out to about 1,200, except for the blue tree. I think it comes out to a little bit more, or it comes out to the exact, and these are like 900 each or something. But you will have champion points left over for when they add new stuff later, and in some cases you won't. But it's really cool, and I like how each of the trees are named because they really fit how they work into the game. As they say, craft. This is about the kind of craft of your play style, whether it be harvesting, fishing, doing Thieves Guild, Dark Brotherhood, you name it. It all plays into this. And then with warfare, it's all about combat, how you do damage, how you mitigate damage, that kind of stuff. And fitness is about your sustainability, your survival instincts kind of stuff, and how well you do, it pertains to that. And I really love how they really got this set up. I like that they kept to that structure of what they had before with the 3, or with the 9 trees. They had, like, the blue tree was about combat, but they've refined it, and it really does allow for more hybridized play. But you won't see a major benefit, honestly, until you max it out at 3,600. And the reason I say that, because then all you have to worry about is changing how your play style when you need to change it. Otherwise, you're going to be locked into a playstyle for a while. But there's still going to be a lot of freedom in the sense of, like, you can respec. It still costs 3,000 gold, unfortunately, but it can be done. Now, that's out of the way, let's talk about this little bar at the top, the champion bar. So each of the constellations have what is called an active passive and an activatable passive. So an active passive is a star that is active all the time. An activatable passive is a star that has to be slotted to the bar above. Now, if you notice, it's broken into 3 sections, just like we have 3 constellations. Each of them are color-coded based on the constellation. So you can see 4 blue, 4 red, 4 green. That means you could only have 4 of each activatable passive. That means a total of 12 from each of the trees. This is where that defining role system comes into play, or playability comes into play. Are you doing trials? Are you doing dungeons? Are you doing PvP, PvE? Are you doing overland? Are you solo playing? Are you harvesting? Are you fishing? What content are you doing in the game? It's going to allow you to customize your playstyle for each character. Now, the other thing you need to know is your champion points are shared across your account. So when you unlock it on one character, you unlock it on another character. on all your characters. Some of the passives can only be used by level 50. Well, actually one. The rest can be used by anybody. And this is where a lot of the choice that they talked about comes from in playstyle. Like, if you're just a solo player, you can build to be just a solo player all the time. Or if you're a person who likes to do a mix of everything, you can eventually build into doing everything. And it will take time, but it is possible. So I really like that they did that. Also, hybrids are a thing now, and we'll get to that when we get into the champion points. Thank you, devs, on that. So let's go ahead and we're going to start with the craft tree. And as they say, the craft tree is about the craft you play. And I like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the 3 branching stars on the bottom here. And then I'm going to work my way around the constellation and how it unlocks. And then what we'll do is we will go into the 3 stars that are over here that are not connected. These will be the last 3 stars we cover. But we'll start here at the bottom left with Fleet Phantom. Now this one reduces the movement speed of Sneak by 5% per stage. This is an always active passive. So once you put 5 point or 10 points in, or whatever you put points into here, I think it's 10 points. Yeah, once you put 10 or 8 points into here, it unlocks the first stage. Now if you notice, I just jumped right to 8 points. If you hold shift and the right mouse button, you can just activate that and just dump points into it. Now, if you want to do it the old-fashioned way, you can individually add points as you go until you get 8 points into there. Now, if you notice, once I put the 8 points into there, it unlocked 2 other constellation, or 2 other parts of the constellation. This is how you unlock the constellation. You have to put points into one thing to unlock another thing, to unlock another thing, and another, and so on and so forth. And if you notice, this one here is not connected to this. So this is really cool. I'm going to go ahead and close that out. I'm going to talk about this star here now, which is called Out of Sight. This reduces the radius you can be detected while sneaking by 1% per stage, a 1 meter per stage, a maximum of 3 meters total. But it's permanent. You know, it's active all the time. Next, we're going to jump over here to this one, which is Haggler, and this will actually just link to this star here, Fortune's Favor, which we'll get to. But this one increases the cost which merchants buy goods from you by 2% per stage, a maximum of 10%. Now, this is something I want to talk about real quick before we go any further. Remember where the devs talked about in the live stream, where this is both horizontal and vertical? They wanted to mix a little bit of both. This does that. So even if you just put the points necessary, the 10 points in here necessary to give you the 2%, it's not so much of a vertical, like super large progression. It's more of like a gradual progression. Unless you just dump 50 points into here, then you're going to get that 10% total bonus, but it's not going to go any higher. It can't. It's locked at the 10%. And this is what I like about this. This allows for flexibility. It allows for build diversity while you progress, but at the same time it kind of makes you pick and choose until you can maximize your CP. Once you have a maximum CP, you will be able to unlock every star in the constellation to its max potential. And then it's just a matter of using the slotted ones when you need them or you don't. The active ones are just active, like I said. So from here, from Haggler, we will jump up here to Fortune's Favor, and this one increases the amount of gold you find in treasure chests and safe boxes by 10% per stage. Now, I didn't do this one to this one yet, and that's because I wanted to get this one out of the way because I really wanted to talk about it, because I think this is great. This is 50% more gold that you will get out of chests and safe boxes. Now, when I did the test on this earlier, you're not getting as much gold as we did before. I'm not going to lie. But it is a permanent unlock. You don't have to slot this. You will get that 50% every time you open a chest or lockbox or safe box. So really cool. And it should say chest, lockbox, and safe box, because the safe box is what's those boxes that are behind merchants that you can loot, and the lockboxes are the lockboxes you find randomly in the world from the Thieves Guild. So really cool there. So now we're going to go ahead and jump up here, friends in low places. This is the only one that requires you to be level 50 or higher. It is a slottable one. But this one removes 1,000 gold from your bounty once per day when committing a crime where a bounty is added. So if you add up 1,000 gold in bounties, you can remove that. Or if you go above that, it will remove exactly 1,000 gold. From my understanding, I have not tested it. Now it says you must be level 50 for this passive to activate, and your current bounty must be at a greater than 1,000 gold. Really cool. I like it. Nice benefit. Next, we're going to go ahead and jump over to this one, Breakfall, because Breakfall actually has 2 stars, or 2 stars of the constellation attached to it. It has this one, Wanderer, and it has this one down here called Soul Reservoir. But we're going to do Breakfall first. This one reduces your fall damage taken by 7% per stage. This is a 35% bonus at maximum. That's going to save you 35% of your health when you take fall damage. So this is a major benefit. I like it. Thank you. And it's going to be awesome for my Wood Elf, which is my main, because I take less fall damage anyways. Moving on. Soul Reservoir. When you resurrect yourself or another player, you have a 33% chance not to consume a soul gem. I like it because of the fact it's 33% chance. It does cost 100 soul, points, which isn't bad. And that 33% chance is good. Because, like, if I use a soul gem to resurrect myself and I save myself from doing that, that's another soul gem I save besides the one that I get every hour on resurrecting myself. So it's going to be nice for when running dungeons, like doing progression through dungeons and trials. It's going to be great for those players. Alright, moving on up here, we have Wanderer. This reduces the cost of Way Shrine usage by 10% per stage. Current bonus, of course, 0%, but total of 50% reduced Way Shrine costs. This saves you gold. We didn't have this before. This is a major benefit to us players who use Way Shrines a lot. Alright, so as you can see, these two, this star branches to these two, this one branches to this one branches to these two. It does not branch down to here. So you have to work your way across here, up here, you know, all over the place to get all the stars unlocked. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this one, I'm going to talk about it, I'm going to move around all of these in a kind of a loop, and then we'll talk about those last 3. So, this one, Inspiration Boost. We had this before. Increase your crafting inspiration gain by 10% per stage, a maximum of 30%. This is really cool because it's a permanent unlock, and for those of us who like craft, this is going to be good for us. But only by the fact that we can use crafting XP as rate XP, raise our CP, so it's nice for that. Other than that, crafting levels, don't need it because I've maxed all mine out. Alright, jumping down here, we have Infamous. This one increases the value of fenced items by 15%, and it is just 15%. It does have to be slotted though. Remember what I was talking about where, like, depending on what you're playing, you're going to want to slot what works for that? And this has something to do with the Thieves Guild, and that's what I meant. Next up, we have Shadow Strike. Now, when you kill an enemy with Blade of Woe, you become invisible for 5 seconds after a short delay, while distracting nearby enemies or potential witnesses. So what it does is it makes you invisible to where they don't notice you anymore, and it kind of distracts them, and it allows you to go up behind another one, because while under this effect, you can use or cast Blade of Woe, so you can use it again. and it'll give you another 5-second window. So it's like really cool that it has that. I like the effect, and I think that it's going to be beneficial to those who like to do the Dark Brotherhood. This is what I meant by using this up here, the slotted skills, for the role you play. Alright, moving on, we're going to go ahead and jump up to this middle one here, which is called Meticulous Disassembly. Now this one improves your chance of extracting woodworking ingredients and allows the refining of more powerful resins from raw materials. So this is going to give you a greater chance of getting resins and woodworking ingredients when you break down, I'm guessing when you break down, or break down an item, a woodworking item, it's going to give you greater ingredients. It also allows you to refine resources to give you more chances of the raw material, like the raw resin, which is going to be great. So better chances at resin, better chances of getting resources, all that. Perfect. Alright, next up, we're going to go ahead and jump over here to Fade Away. And this one, escaping from a guard wipes 25% of your current heat, but not bounty. You'll notice there's a star right here, but it is an inactive star, and it's not attached, so we can't look at it. But I do like that this one works the way it does, and it is one that has to be slotted. Again, that kind of like, it works towards your playstyle. Moving on over here, we have a star called Steadfast Enchantments, which is actually only connected to, this one and this one, the Treasure Hunter, which we'll get to. But Steadfast Enchantments, one of my favorite ones. Your weapon enchantments decay 20% slower per stage. That means 100% slower. You know what that means? That means using soul gems to refill your enchantment effect is null and void, because it's 100% slower. So that means it's not going to reduce, it shouldn't reduce at all, and at least that's what I think. I haven't tested it. I'm going to later tonight, and I will let you guys know. Alright, moving on, we have Treasure Hunter. This is one of my favorites. I'm glad they've added this. This one increases the quality of the items you find in treasure chests. That means greater chance of finding purple items. They had it before. I don't remember what the percentage chance was, but I'm guessing this and this are going to tie into one of the other ones in the amount. So we'll get to that in a second. So we already went over Meticulous Assembly. We already talked about Fade Away and this one. Now we're going to work our way around this way. Talked about Steadfast Enchantment. Now we're going to talk about Rationer. This one adds 10 minutes to the duration of any eaten food or drink per stage. 30 minutes total. This is going to be great for when you're doing trials or dungeons and you want that food to last longer. Even if you don't, or not doing that, but you're doing something else and you still want that food bonus, this will be great for that. It does have to be slotted though. Alright, moving on. We have Liquid Efficiency. Whenever you use a potion or poison, you have a 10% chance to not consume it. Now, if you guys didn't know, we have a passive that adds more minutes also in our crafting for food and drink. So this is a definite bonus added to that. And this is a definite bonus added to the potion effects, or passive that you can get, which increases the duration, but then having a chance to make it to where it doesn't consume it, and it makes the potion like have a second use, is kind of nice. It won't always be that way, but you know. Now we're going to go ahead and jump back up here, because I want to work my way this way on this. So we're going to talk about this one next, Plentiful Harvest. You have a 20% chance to gain double the yield from normal resource nodes per stage. Maximum 100%. 100% chance to pull a double yield. I want this now. I am on the main on the PTS, but like I want this now on live. Like, give me that 100% yield. That'd be awesome. Alright, moving on, the next one is Homemaker. In this one you have a 10% chance to find a furnishing plan whenever you find a furnishing plan in the world. So you get like this 10% chance of gaining 2 furnishing plans instead of 1. Really cool. Next up, Real technique. Decreases the time it takes to fish, or for fish to bite, by 25%. This is awesome. This will be great when I'm doing those fishing things during the holidays or during the holiday event. The winners, the life, I don't remember, the whatever it is, festival that we just got done with on the live server. This will be great for that. And this will also be great for that because this increases your chance of catching a higher quality fish by 10%. Great for crafting. You know, crafting food. So that is that. We've done liquid efficiency. Now we're going to move on up here to this one and this one. These are the last two of these two, and then we'll get to these three. So Gifted Rider increases your mount speed by 2% per stage, maximum of 10% extra mount speed. So if you guys didn't know, mount speed max is out at 60 right now, or 60%. This will add another 10%. You can increase your mount speed by 70%. This is next up, last but not least here, War Mount. Improves your mastery with mounts, removing all stamina cost outside of combat. So you can remove the stamina cost while riding your mount. Unfortunately, it does have to be slotted. So does this one. So do a lot of these. In fact, most of these are slottable, while 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 are not. And then the last three. These are what I call the floating passives. These have to be slotted, but these are really cool ones. Starting with the first one, reduce the cost of sneak by 1% per stage. You notice there's no bar on the bottom. That's because this is a, like, spin one to upgrade, spin, you know. And then when you get to 10 points is actually, I think it's the stage. So if you do 1 point, you unlock it, and then spend the one to upgrade, so on and so forth. I'm not sure how this works because I can't seem to get it to show me if it's actually 50% or if it's 5%, because it does it based on 10 points per. It does that with all three. So I like this sustaining shadows, really cool. Next one is professional upkeep. This one reduces the cost of repairing armor by 1% per stage. Again, not sure if it's 5% or 50%. Kind of hard to tell. And then, of course, we got the last one here, which is Steed's Blessing. Increases your out-of-combat movement speed by 1% per stage. Don't know if it's 5% or 10% because there's no bar that tells me or anything that tells me. And even if I lock it in, which I'll show you, it still doesn't tell me, and it doesn't do it with any of them. Because there is bugs in the system. Devs, fix this, please. So I'm going to go and redistribute these points. And put them back. So that is the craft tree. Now we're going to jump over to the warfare, which is really cool. I like the warfare tree. And in this one, we have 3, again, that are attached to the constellation and 3 that are not. We're going to go through the 3 attached, and then we're going to work our way down first, and then we're going to work our way out, up, and over. And then we'll talk about all the stars there. Then we'll talk about these 3 in the end. So starting with the first one here, we have Eldritch Insight. This one grants 260 max magicka per stage, a maximum of 1,300. So this is a permanent increase to your max magicka by 1,300 points. This does get the 6% increase from your food, or from your Undaunted. You end up with a lot more stats than you would have before. I'm just going to let you know now. Next, we have Tireless Disciple. This one grants 260 max stamina per stage. Again, 1,300 at max. Then we have Precision. This one grants you 160 critical rating per stage, a maximum of 800. Really nice because it puts me at 40%. Crit chance on my main. I like it. And now we're going to work our way down. Starting with this big purple one, which is a different kind of star than what we normally see. This one actually has 5 underlying stars in it. So this is a nebula with a underlying star system, and in it has 4 or 5 stars. So starting with the main star, quick recovery, this one increases your healing taken by 1% per stage, maximum 5%. Really, really cool. And it is a permanent unlock. In fact, 4 of these stars are permanent unlocks, while 1 is a slottable unlock, or slottable passive. Moving on over here, we have Hardy. This reduces damage taken from martial attacks by 1% per stage. This affects physical, poison, disease, and bleed damage. 5% total. So remember what a lot of people have been talking about with the armor changes, where each piece of armor adds martial damage on light armor and magic damage on heavy armor, but neither on the medium armor? Well, this is where you make up that difference. So you can have 5% on martial damage. So this will help light armor players, heavy armor players, and even medium armor players with reduced damage reduction. Alright, moving on to the bottom one, we have Perception. Now this reduces damage taken from non-player attacks by 3% per stage. Now, what that means is any damage you take from non-players, that means PvE content only, you will get a total of 15% damage mitigation or damage reduction. Then you have over here Elemental Aegis. This reduces damage taken from magical attacks by 1% per stage. That means 5% total. Affects magic, flame, frost, shock, and magic, or flame, frost, shock, and magic, flame, frost, and shock damage. Really cool. And then up here we have the slottable one. This is more of a PvP thing. This grants 132 crit resistance per stage, reducing your damage taken from critical strikes by 2%, a total of 10%. Really cool. Now we're going to jump back out here to the tree, and we're going to start with this one over here. We have Duelist Rebuff. Now this one reduces damage taken from single target attacks by 2% per stage, maximum of 10%. Over here we have Unassailable. This one reduces damage taken by area of effect attacks by 2% per stage. And as you notice, these ones do have to be slotted. Moving on to the middle one down here, we have Enduring Resolve. Reduces damage taken by damage over time attacks by 2% per stage, maximum of 10%. Now remember, you can only have 4 active or activatable passives up here. So if you were going to tank, you could take these 3 and then have room for 1 more. Just letting you know. Moving on to the next one, Repost or Reposit. When you block an attack from an enemy within 7 meters, you deal 4,800 physical damage back to the attacker. This effect can occur once every 5 seconds. Also needs to be slotted. Down here we have Reinforced. This one, when you begin bracing, you gain a damage shield that absorbs 5,140 damage for 3 seconds. This effect can occur once every 10 seconds. Very much like we had before, but it has to be slotted to get the effect. We also have Bulwark. While you have a shield or frost staff equipped, your spell and physical resistance is increased by 1,900. Very similar to something we have already, but you have to have it slotted. Moving on to the last 2 down here, we have Last Stand. When you take damage below 20% health, you gain Major Heroism, granting you 3 ultimate every 1.5 seconds for 9 seconds. This effect can occur once every 9 seconds. Really cool. Then you have over here Cutting Defense. Now this one, you deal 200 magic damage to attackers whenever they damage you with direct damage attacks within 7 meters. We had something similar before, so this is kind of interesting. They made it magic damage. Really good for mag tanks, like tanks who tanks with frost staff only. This will be great for them. Alright, now we're going to move up this way. So starting with this first one, we have Extended Might. Really cool one. Here, it also has the 5 stars branching off, starting with the main star that you will activate first, grants piercing. This one grants 350 offensive penetration per stage. Now here's the cool thing. It applies across the board. So that's 2,050 points that you will get in penetration. Both spell and physical. Hybrids, anyone? Alright, now we're going to go ahead and jump this way. Battle Mastery. This one increases your chance to apply a martial status effect by 30% per stage. If you didn't know, the new way this works, anytime you deal damage, you have a chance of applying a martial status effect. Now, with each stage of this, you can take it up to a total of like 150% on it, which is really nice. So that is good for that. And you have the same over here for Flawless Ritual. This increases your chance to apply magical status effects by 30% per stage. So that's really cool. I like that. Now, moving on from there, we have 2 last stars here, and they both work similar, very much like the Flawless Ritual and the Battle Mastery. The first one is War Mage. This one grants 100 weapon and spell damage to your magic attacks. This affects magic, flame, frost, and shock damage. And then over here you have Mighty. Grants 100 weapon and spell damage to your martial attacks. Affects physical, poison, disease, and bleed damage. Now, if you didn't notice, all 5 of these stars do not require a slot. These are permanent unlocks. Very awesome. The next ones, unfortunately, do need to be slotted. And these 3 are damage related. The next one is Deadly Aim. This one increases your damage done with single target attacks by 2% per stage. Maximum of 10%. Then you have this one, Biting Aura. This increases your damage done with area of effect attacks by 2% per stage, maximum of 10%. As you can see, these 2 do need to be slotted, along with this final one, as I stated, Thaumaturge. Increases your damage done with damage over time effects by 2% per stage. So a maximum of 10%. Really cool setup so far. Now, we're going to move on to the crown here, and the 5 stars that it unlocks. Now these are slotted ones. You have to slot them up here for them to take effect. Now remember, you can only have 4 active. Fighting Fitness increases your critical damage and critical healing done by 2% per stage, maximum 10%. Then we have Backstabber. Increases your critical damage done by 3% per stage against enemies you are flanking. 10% total. Or, sorry, 15% total. Then you have Occult Overload. This is my favorite by far. Whenever you kill an enemy under the effect of a status effect, they violently explode for 2,000 Oblivion damage per stage to all other enemies in a 4-meter radius. So it deals 4,000 damage at max in a 4-meter radius. If you don't know what Oblivion damage does, I'm going to explain it. Oblivion damage does no matter what. It has no mitigation. It goes through armor, it goes through resistances, it goes through shields. It will hit you no matter what. In PvE, this is going to be great. In PvP, it's going to be amazing. Alright, moving on. Wrathful Strikes. Grants 33 weapon and spell damage to your damaging abilities per stage. I don't remember what the max is. Does have to be slotted though. Next up, we have Reaving Blows. When you deal direct damage, you heal for 7% of the damage done, and that is just flat 7%. Alright, now we're going to move on over here to the last of the tree. We have 1, 2, 3, whatever. We have these stars to do. 3 of them are non-slotted. So these you get all the time. The first one is Blast. Increases your healing done by 1% per stage. That is a maximum of 5%. Moving on, we have increased your focus mending. Increases your healing done with single target heals by 2% per stage, maximum of 10%. And then we have Soothing Tide. Increase your healing done by area of effect heals by 2% per stage, maximum of 10%. If you put these together, that is a 10% or 15% increase to your healing done by area of effect and by your single target. Now, there's one more here that is unlocked, which is Swift Renewal. Increases your healing done with healing over time effects by 2% per stage. That means another 10%, which added to this is 15%. And some area of effect are also over time, so you can go 25% and 25%. It's really cool. So, moving on now to the last three. Rejuvenator. Grants 33 weapon and spell damage to your healing abilities per stage. Maximum, don't know, not going to do the math right now because it's 5. I mean, normally it'd be 15, so 100 and something, 150 something. I don't know. It's a lot. That's all I know. It's really cool. Moving on, healing a target under, cleansing revival, healing a target under 25% health, removes all harmful effects from them. This effect can occur once every 24 seconds. That is awesome. It's going to be great for trial players and trial healers. And last but not least, Foresight. After you drink a potion, the cost of your magic and stamina healing abilities used within 6 seconds are reduced by 75%. It's a beautiful one. I love it. Alright, now we're going to go over these last three. Starting with the first one. Increase max magicka by 26 per point. Again, not sure if it's literally 26 by 50. If it is, that's a lot of max magicka you can have slotted. But it does have to be slotted. And moving on, we have Untamed Aggression. Increase your weapon and spell damage by 3 point. Again, if that's by point at 50, that's a lot of weapon and spell damage. You do have to have it slotted, though, to activate. And then last but not least, Endless Endurance. Increase your max stamina by 26 per point. Also has to be slotted. Again, there's a lot of max stam and magicka you can get from these things. And the fact that, like I said, you can max out this whole thing when you have the 1200 points is crazy. Alright, moving on to the final constellation, Fitness. Lots of stuff to go over here. We do have 3, of course, stars that can be unlocked on the bar, and then we have 3 floaters up here. We're going to go out across the constellation here, and then we'll go through all the stars that unlock below, or unlock around them. So starting with the first one, we have Tumbling. Reduces the cost of dodge rolling by 120 stamina per stage. So you got to think about this. 120 per stage. Okay, that's a lot of reduced dodge roll when you think about it. I like it. I'm glad they did this. And it's permanent. Doesn't have to be slotted. The next one doesn't have to be slotted as well. This is Sprinter. This reduces the cost of sprint by 20 stamina per stage. So it's 100 stamina reduction. I think they need to kind of copy, unless, you know, sprinting doesn't cost as much, but then even 100 could reduce it by a few more. And then last but not least, we have Tireless Guardian. This reduces the cost of block by 20 stamina per stage, maximum of 100. So really cool. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover these stars here first, and then we'll work our way back this way. And we'll do these ones, and then we'll work through these here, and then do those 3. So starting with this bottom one, this does not need to be slotted. It's a permanent unlock. Increases the amount of damage you can block by 4% per stage. So everyone will get this, and that is a 25 or 20% block cost reduction. Everyone will get it eventually. Next up, we have another non-slotted one, Nimble Protector. This increases your movement speed while bracing by 3% per stage. That means blocking. Next up, we have Savage Defense. This one reduces the cost of bash by 45 stamina per stage. So really cool. It has 4 stages. Then we have On Guard. This has to be slotted though. While immune to crowd control, increase the amount of damage you block by 2% per stage. Great for tanks. Next up, we have Bashing Brutality. This one increases your bash damage by 120 per stage. Really like this one, especially when you think about the sword and shield. Alright, moving on. We have Hasty. This one does not need to be slotted. This one increases your movement speed when sprinting by 2% per stage, so an extra 10% speed while sprinting. This one also does not need to be slotted, and this is a great one. This one is called Hero's Vigor. This grants 280 max health per stage, a maximum of 1400 extra health. Then we have this one, which needs to be slotted. Restores 300 stamina per stage whenever you kill an enemy. I love it. Maximum of 1500 points. Then we have the next one also slotted. Siphoning Spells. Restores 300 magicka per stage whenever you kill an enemy. Max of 1500 points. Then we have this one here, which is called Strategic Reserve. Gain 50 health recovery for every 10 ultimate you spin, or 10 ultimate you have. So if you have 200 ultimate, you get a lot of that. So it's like, I don't know, I did the math earlier, it's like 2,000 health recovery or something. It's ridiculous. Moving on to this middle one here, we have Shield Mastery. Reduces the cost of your shields by 2% per stage. Maximum of 10% cost reduction in shields. Then we have Bastion. This one increases the effectiveness of your damage shields and damage against shielded enemies by 8% per stage. So what that means is this increases your own shield strength by 8% per stage, which at maximum is 45% increase, and then also increases the damage you do to enemies with shields. This includes in PvP by 45%. So that means that they're shielded, their shield damage that you do to their damage, the damage you do to their shields is going to be 45% increase. So it's going to strip their shields faster. It's not like they smaller shields in PvP did it have a big, we're going to have a big problem being removed. Next, we're going to jump up here to Arcane Alacrity. This one, while shielded, your dodge roll costs 160 less stamina per stage. I like it. And then moving on down here, this is a you do not have to have this one, you know, slotted. This one increases your stealth detection by 1 meter per stage. So 3 meter stealth detection. Then we have up here another non-slotted one. Return to life after resurrection with 10% more resources per stage. Maximum of 50% more resources. So you'll get 50% more stamina, health, and magicka when you are rezzed. And this one also does not have to be slotted. Sprint Mastery decreases the time it takes to Spirit Mastery, sorry. Decreases the time it takes to resurrect an ally by 33%. And everyone will get this eventually. Of course, now we have this star here, Survival Instincts. I really like this one. While affected by a status effect, your core combat costs 5% less per stage. This is going to be great for tanks, by the way. And not only tanks, but also DPS. Last star here, before we move on to the two lower stars, we have Reduce the Duration, or Mystic Tenacity. I like this one too. Reduces the duration of elemental status effects applied to you by 5% per stage, maximum of 25%. So that means, or 50%, sorry, I think, or 25%, sorry. But if something has a 4-second cooldown, that means it's got 3 seconds instead, since most status effects do have 4 seconds on it. Alright, next up we have Rousing Speed. Reduce the cost of sprint by 50 stamina per stage while you are immune to crowd control has to be slotted. We also have expert evasion. Your next dodge roll cost or dodge roll is free of cost. After consuming this effect, you cannot gain again for 30 seconds. Does have to be slotted. Then we have over here, we have Juggernaut. While immune to crowd control, you take 2% less damage per stage. And then we have a non-slottable one. Defiance reduces the cost of break free by 110 stamina per stage. That is 550 reduced break free cost. That's really good, by the way. And then moving on over here, we have Slippery. When you are affected by disabling effects, you automatically break free for no cost. After using this effect, you become winded and cannot trigger this effect or others like it for 21 seconds. Then we have Unchained. When you break free, the cost of your next stamina ability used within 5 seconds is reduced by 11% per stage, a maximum of 55%. Then over here we have Peace of Mind. This increases your magicka health and health recovery while immune to crowd control by 40 per stage. Really nice increase, especially for tanks in some cases, and stamina and magicka DPS. Does have to be slotted though. Then we have the final one here, Hardened. This one increases the duration of the time you are immune to crowd control by 3% per stage with a maximum of 15%. Now, moving on to the last 3 stars in the constellation, starting with the first one here, we have Boundless Vitality. This one grants 28 max health per stage, and that is times 50, or by 5, I don't know, because not sure what the stages are here, because there's no bar for it. And then, of course, we have the next one, Ironclad, grants 34.6 armor per stage. And I think it is per point put into here. So 50 times 34.6 is a lot. And then last but not least, we have Rejuvenation. Grants 3 health, magicka, and stamina recovery per stage. Times 50. It's a lot, in my opinion. So, yeah, really cool. Of course, all the brighter stars have to be slotted, while all the less brighter stars do not. I have to say, right now, out the door, I love the new system. Is it the silver bullet that's needed? Definitely not. There could be a lot more done to this to give us more options, more flexibility, more things. Also, remember, we're capped at 3,600 total champion points. That means you can only gain that many right now, and we don't know if they're going to do an increase and when. If it's only going to happen at chapter times, when they're going to be adding new stars to these constellations, because they said they are going to do that with time. And yeah, I really like it. I do. I think that this is a good change from what we had before, because it gives us a lot more options, a lot more flexibility, a lot more things to play with, and a lot more choice. But as I said in the beginning, when I stated, it really isn't going to take total effect until you have the 1,200 champion points per tree before you really get to pick the kind of playstyle you want to use at different times. In the beginning, it's going to be you're building a character to play a certain role only. But as time progresses, you'll be able to branch out and hybridize your character a little bit more, even if you focus more into stamina or magicka. You have things that you can use to give you those greater point variations. So you could play a hybrid healer, or a hybrid tank, or a hybrid DPS, or whatever, because you have all these different options in how to do that. And I really, really have to thank the devs for this. It's great. Brian Wheeler, you guys, your team did a fantastic job. Thank you. That's pretty much it for the video, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, you guys know what's coming next. Go ahead and hit that like button. If you guys want to see more videos by me, you can subscribe. And if you do, remember to click that notification bell to be notified when I post new videos. Other than that, I want to thank you all for watching. Until next time, have a wonderful day. And this guy might see you in game. Bye.